Imagine a high-tech vehicle so difficult to operate that learning the ropes takes even the most experienced drivers 2 years. That's the challenge for every licensed helicopter pilot who wants to grab the reins of the U.S. Army's AH-64 Apache longbow. But this driver's seat is in the back seat.
The design was with the tandem seat in the back seater, his primary focus is actually piloting or flying the aircraft, while the front seater is conducting the majority of the reconnaissance and attack operations.
With the pilot seated behind the gunner, the Apache is ready for action.
And whenever you're ready, you're clear.
Designed to protect ground troops by launching devastating assaults, this machine is a flying tank.
The primary function of the Apache is to deal death and destruction on the battlefield. The Apache has the distinct honor of being the most lethal attack helicopter in the United States inventory. We can carry more, go farther, go faster than any other helicopter.
The Apache can soar as fast as 167 miles per hour and as high as 15,000 feet. It can also execute evasive maneuvers impossible for most helicopters, including barrel rolls and loops. Any pilot who begins training on the Apache has already earned his wings as a chopper pilot. But for those whose experience might be limited to the freeways, here's an idea of the basics. The key instrument in the cockpit is the cyclic control stick. It gives the pilot control over the helicopter's 4 rotor blades, which are essentially rotating wings. Moving the stick causes the rotor blades to tilt, which changes how much lift they provide. Adjusting the tilt equally for all the blades lifts the helicopter straight up and down. Changing the tilt for some of the blades creates uneven lift, causing the helicopter to climb, dive, or turn. But controlling an Apache requires more than just skill. It also takes nerves. Flying this chopper is so sophisticated, and the enemy territory traversed is so hostile, that pilots refer to it as riding the dragon.
In the eyes of the enemy, the Apache is a very dangerous helicopter. In the eyes of friendly forces, it's also a very, very dangerous aircraft to learn how to fly. Typically, an aviator will go through approximately anywhere from 1.5 years to 2 years of flight training from start to finish to become an Apache pilot.
One of the most difficult things about flying the Apache is having to constantly shift focus from one eye to the other. Because the helmet is fitted with a monocle, it's fixed in front of the pilot's right eye. 12 different instrument readings from the cockpit are projected onto the monocle screen. Other images can be superimposed there, from those shot by the helicopter's cameras to radar information. While the pilot's right eye is interpreting all that data, his left has to be free to scan outside the aircraft for threats. All the while, sensors are detecting exactly where his monocled right eye is looking. Just move the monocle's crosshairs on a target below, and the weapons he selects will swivel and aim precisely where he's looking.
I think the biggest thing that everybody asks us about is if the gun really does follow the line of sight of where the pilot's looking, and it absolutely does.
The Apache's arsenal includes the M230 automatic cannon mounted under the fuselage. It can take out a target more than 2 miles away.
You can shoot in excess of 600 rounds a minute. We don't generally do that, but it also, I like to compare it to each round has almost the capability of a single grenade.
With the touch of a button, the pilot can also deploy a variety of smaller missiles and free-flight rockets, usually mounted and fired from underneath the wings. But the most powerful weapon at his disposal is the AGM-114, aptly known as the Hellfire missile.
This is that's a missile that'll penetrate any known armor on the battlefield, and this thing will reach out and touch you 5 miles plus. Pinpoint accuracy.
For all the onboard firepower, one of the most reassuring aspects of flying an Apache is the blanket of security that protects the crew. The windshield is made of reinforced glass that can withstand every type of small arms fire. And the pilot's seat is covered in a heavy-duty layer of Kevlar.
This aircraft withstood significant damage in both Iraq and Afghanistan. A lot of small arms fire, RPG fire. I think some of the newer features that make this aircraft as amazing as it is its capability to stay in the fight for long periods of time, its ability to take an excessive amount of enemy fire and still stay in the fight and provide that capability to guys that desperately need it.
It's what makes the Apache one of the military's most advanced and most celebrated aircraft. For a thrill ride without the heights and the 2-year training course,